One that said that was a really good panel.
They had Wonder Woman, holding a bloody sword. Now that was a good panel.
Except you couldn't tell what was Wonder Woman and what was the sword. Thanks. Oh, hi. Anyway, yeah.
A little bit of Frank Miller discussion.
Yeah, man, it's been a Frank Miller day, hasn't it?
I've heard a lot about Frank Miller, good and bad, in the past couple of days.
Well,
really?
It's been mostly bad
crazy stuff.
2010.
I mean, he's not like a great dude anymore.
So.
A little weird.
Yeah.
All right, welcome traders. We are back. Everything's late. Nobody dies. Episode 47.
Lucky, maybe 47, probably.
Possibly 46.
Maybe lucky 46.
We're in the 40s.
Lucky in the 40s. Yeah, there we go.
But yeah, I've heard a lot about Frank Miller the past week or so. A lot of YouTubers throwing stuff out there. I guess he's in the kind of the comic book zeitgeist because of these covers that he's doing for Marvel.
Which are not his, I'm going to say they're not his best work.
They are.
They're not his best work.
They're not even John Carter of Mars quality. I mean, these are some god-awful covers.
Yeah, something. Yeah, everything he's drawn looks like it's been in the microwave for too long. Remember the Shrinky Dinks? They all look like Shrinky Dinks. Like they
do kind of. Yeah,
I mean, like,
I get that.
Put the Shrinky Dinks in the oven, and it says 10 minutes, and you put it in there for 23 minutes, and it comes out, and it's a 1 in 100 Frank Miller cover. that's how you do it.
That's the thing. Like,
why is it what the
Frank
Fantastic
Miller,
Four one is a 1 in 400? And it was that? I'm sorry, I'm trying to be positive again.
I mean, Frank Miller was never the greatest artist. Not even in the 80s. He wasn't the greatest artist.
No.
I could give him, looking at it objectively, I can honestly say I believe Frank Miller saved comic books in the 80s.
Well,
The Dark Knight.
I don't know about
saved comic books.
I don't know if I would say saved them, but steered them in a way that everything was different. I don't know about saved, but completely changed comics. Absolutely. There was a lot of stuff going on in the 80s.
I mean, not just comics. I mean, if it weren't for Frank Miller's Dark Knight, we wouldn't have Tim Burton's Batman. Which changed the genre of superhero movies, which gave us Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men movies, and then the MCU.
Yeah.
Like if it weren't,
I would say he steered the comic industry.
I could see that.
Because it was going to weird places, and then after that it went to weird places too. But and it was just like I don't know what it was doing exactly at that point. It was kind of, I think it sounds weird, but that and Watchmen helped costumes more than anything. Because they were like weird, over the top carnival costumes. It looked like, you know what I mean, with the big boots. Yeah, Hawkeye and Captain America had those enormous pirate boots, the pirate booties, and it looked really weird. And then Watchmen came out, and it was kind of more streamlined, realistic stuff. Dark Knight Returns came out, and it was a beaten down Batman and a bunch of like weird, like Tromaville, neon punks running around, and you know what I mean. So I think that was like, there's so many ways that it changed it, and that's kind of why it's so sad for me to see him like he is now. His Daredevil was so good.
Oh, definitely.
Like, and I would say Batman Year One was more influential on Batman than Dark Knight Returns.
I would say Year One was probably more influential on Batman lore, whereas Dark Knight was more influential on comics as a whole, and the genre as a whole.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, because and you read Year One. And all that stuff, they had all these writers in the 80s, the new adventures of Batman, and it was right after that Frank Miller Year One stuff.
Right.
And Max Allan Collins came in, mystery and noir detective writer, came in and did some great stuff in there. That I think, again, steered the course, did a course correct on the Batman comics, because for a little bit they also didn't know where they were going. The 80s was a weird time. Everything was sort of up in the air.
And yeah, it definitely was.
I mean, what did we have? We had, a couple of Superman movies
that were successful. I mean, the first couple were
the first two,
yes, successful.
Yeah. The first one was fantastic. Second one was fun.
And then Richard Pryor showed up.
Moving on. But yeah, so I mean that had this weird, like, experimental. Nobody knew what they were doing. Nobody knew what was happening.
Right.
And if you go, even the Defenders, that was such a great time for the Defenders, and because it was weird. I mean, who do you have? You had Valkyrie, Cloud. Right. You had the X-Men, basically.
Demon.
You had Demon, you had Iceman, you had Beast, Angel. You had 3 out of the 5 original X-Men. But then you had Cloud, who was like technically a trans character,
right?
Switched genders depending on how they felt. If you remember that, or just being a Cloud, like whatever.
Right.
You had Gargoyle, this old man that was trapped in a gargoyle body. Fool Killer, that weird, like, crazy redheaded dude. It looked like Carnage before Carnage. Yeah, it's like crazy curly red hair, and
it's like Carnage and Lobo's love child.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah, and it was like so weird. Everything there, they were trying so many different things. That it was great, and DC's big thing was DC Comics aren't just for kids anymore. Remember that in the corner box,
Well, and that was the thing when we got out of the 70s. I mean, culturally, the place where we were as a nation the entire time up till 1980 was we lived in an idealized society.
Mm.
We wanted, even through the turmoil of the late 60s and the 70s, mainstream media and pop culture tried to look at America as this idealistic, family-centered, Anglo-American Christian society.
Right.
And it wasn't, but that's the face that they tried to put forward.
Yeah.
And
that facade started breaking down after the 50s.
Right. And then really was upheld in comic books all the way through till about the 80s. And then you started seeing, Ralph Snart, the San Francisco stuff coming in, and Creepy, and and all those, even Conan, the magazine side,
Savage Sword and
Savage
Saga
stuff.
and stuff like that. Yeah. And that's like, speaking of which, it has those Hulk magazines coming in tomorrow.
Oh, nice! I
From
love
the 70s,
those
old ones. They're so cool, man. I got a big collection coming in tomorrow of good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, 70s stuff.
Right on.
Yeah. You're gonna like some. You can deep press in a couple of them for me. Like, Iron Fist 1 and
cool.
Like the whole run of Iron Fist. It's gonna be nice, man. So anyway, then that was kind of, you're right, because in the 70s, what would you see? You would see stuff that reflected movies, music. You had Shang-Chi, Iron Fist, all that kind of stuff. They were the kung fu movies,
right?
You had Black Panther, Black Lightning, like all these guys, Luke Cage, Blade, like all these big characters, they were reflecting the blaxploitation films that were coming out. I mean, even down to disco. I mean, Dazzler. You know what I mean? And it's like, it had all this stuff that was reflecting everything that was coming out. But in a idyllic, happy-go-lucky sort of way.
Right. Trying to mainstream all that.
For
sure.
I think all that stuff did change radically with the 80s.
And I think it was Frank Miller was really the first one that stepped up to it and said, okay, well, this is different. Like this Dark Knight is this guy that goes around and beats up people and gets some sick, sadistic joy out of it. Like even the Batman, Superman stuff that's in that book is very, counterculture against established America and beating Batman just whopping the shit out of the Boy Scout.
Which is another weird thing, and that how much Frank Miller changed. It was after 9/11. It was after 9/11,
right?
When he used, and it's like the Steranko thing. I don't know if you've seen anything about that.
No.
Oh boy, that guy. Like all these, swinging 60s counterculture dudes, and like, hey man, look at this, man. This ain't how it's gonna be, man. It's gonna be free love and peace and blah blah. They're all like, and I don't mean to pigeonhole conservatives, but crazy conservative. That's different than being conservative.
Right.
They're
definitely.
so right that it is like, oh my God, man. Steranko's doing like, COVID stuff, like tweets and arrest Fauci, and Fauci murdered millions and all this.
I mean, know that.
Oh yeah. And some pretty, misogynistic, homophobic, anti-Semitic stuff. It ain't good. I went down a rabbit hole and it was not a good place to. I had to stop. I just had to stop and pull back and say, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I can't read this shit.
Well, that's wild.
And I like his art so much.
Extremely talented.
I can't, I can't. If I go any further, I will have no choice but to associate the art with the artist. And I don't want to do that.
Right.
Well,
and that's hard to do in comic books. I mean, a lot of artists, they will not divorce their political views, especially in this day and age, will not divorce their political views from the art. And we see that. And that's why Eric Larson blocked me. Because I like my state. I like Utah. Eric Larson, come to Utah.
Yeah, come to Utah.
You got fans.
So it's, I find it to be a bit of a problem, when it becomes your identity. And of course, and you've got a right to say what you want, about, the political situation, anything like that, and societal things. But, when you start getting like shitty and mean,
right.
Like, I think you should shut up, man. And especially if you're in your 70s and 80s and used to be a comic, god.
And when you get shitty and mean in either direction.
Right, yeah.
Either direction.
Yeah. And I just think it's kind of like, and I really wish that there would be a thing on social media where the only thing that writers and artists can talk about is writing and arting and drawing. The only thing that actors and directors can talk about is acting and directing. And you know what, man? Go and do your thing. You just have an act, moviepeoplebitchandmoan.com or something. Have your social media over there. Go fight over there. You know what I mean? Go fight over there if you need to do that.
And that's one reason I don't know about a lot of this stuff, because I love comic books. I love to read them. I love the artwork. I am afraid that when it comes to politics and views like that, I would be in the minority. So I would rather not know what my comic artists think about those things.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I want to appreciate them for what they do,
right?
What they bring to the table.
Yeah, and that's, you'll notice I don't post political stuff anymore.
Right. And my wife always tells me you can't. She just flat out tells me you can't say political things, because no matter which direction you're coming from, you're going to alienate people, and you're in business, and
Yeah.
But that's not why I don't. The reason I don't is because that's my business.
Yeah.
Like if you and I have had several political discussions, none of which are around anybody else, and they'll never be on.
Yeah,
on
and they
YouTube
shouldn't
because
be,
that's
man,
between
because
the two of us.
it's us talking.
But our view
You know?
on an artist and their ability and what they bring to the industry, completely different.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I don't know. I mean, I just, and I think that, and I think a lot of people talking about that is posturing.
Oh, I agree.
And when it's like, oh, I don't like, I don't like this guy or that guy or this or that, or, whatever it is. A lot of it is so they can get a pat on the back for saying it. And I don't, I mean, it's so easy to get caught up in that too, and there was an election not too long ago where I had posted some things where I was like, I am very saddened on this particular day. I don't think things are going to go very well, and they didn't. And when I stopped posting opinions about stuff was after that JLA Avengers trade.
Yeah.
And, remember that mess?
I do remember that mess.
And people would just come up and they'll be like, yeah, Greg's right. And then somebody else would come on and go, nah, Greg's an idiot and so are you. And you're stupid. I can't believe this. And, and they're like, no, you're an asshole. And then just, and people that I don't even know were fighting over something that I said, man.
Right.
I mean.
Well, and there's a responsibility with your platform. You are, whether you want to be or not, like you are the top of our Utah comics pyramid. So whatever you say, people are going to listen to.
And I feel the point on my butt sometimes.
Exactly. Exactly.
I don't know if I'd agree with that, but I'm a brick in the anyway.
Right.
No, I don't know, but that's very nice of you to say. Thanks. Yeah. So I don't, man. I just don't think and I really, I thought it was again, and I thought they didn't do the best job releasing that book with the information and the way they did it. That's all I'm going to say.
And for people that don't know what he's referring to, it's the Justice League of America Avengers charity book.
Mm-hmm.
I just drew a blank on the artist.
Perez.
Yes. And they put it out right after Perez passed away to raise money.
Mm-hmm.
And then made it so scarce and limited that it created a secondary market before an outrageous secondary market before the book even was released.
Yeah.
And the drawback to that is that money that was supposed to go to charity, the money that was supposed to go to charity went to charity. It's not like they were doing anything shady.
Right, yeah.
That money went where it was supposed to. But it created a scarcity for this book that drove the value of the book to 100 times?
Oh, it was insane.
It was even more than that. It was like 200% increase in value.
Yeah.
Overnight. And none of that money got to charity.
Yeah.
I mean, I was lucky because I got my copy at cover price, like I was supposed to. I bought it from you. It's in my personal collection. It's never going to leave my personal collection, so it is what it is. But I know people that scoured all over, paid double, triple cover price, and then flipped them immediately and made thousands of dollars.
Now, I will say, and you know this, it was, $20 book. Was it $19.99?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I put it up on my wall for $300.
Right.
But what did I do? I put $280 to the Cancer Society.
Right.
George Perez died of cancer.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what I should. And you know what? And somebody saw it and said, how come that's so expensive? And I told them, and they said, oh, I will be happy to buy it then.
Yeah.
That's my, it's my $300 donation, to, you know what I mean, to cancer research.
Right. And I know that Comic Tom sold his for $350 or whatever. Donated all the money to the charity. It was for the Hero Initiative.
Yeah, I didn't want it to go there. I wanted to go to cancer research.
I mean, I got my views on charity. I've met the Hero Initiative guys. I think they do good things and they help our struggling artists out.
Mhm.
So it's a good cause.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, that whole thing was a fiasco.
But after the way it was handled, I didn't feel like I wanted to give that money to them. I felt like it was like, hey, this is supposed to go to cancer stuff. I felt, you know what I mean?
As cool as that book was, like the real solution would have been to print another, 100,000 of them and sell them at $20 and have all the money go to the Hero Initiative.
Right.
Tank the aftermarket, but raise the money like you were supposed to.
Well, and they said that it was not going to be reprinted.
Right.
And then they reprinted it.
Yeah.
I didn't care for that. you know, I didn't,
you know,
and yes, okay, there may have been extenuating circumstances with that, getting Marvel and DC together, blah, 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 but it's already done. It's like, you don't have to, I mean, it's a book that's already come out.
Right.
Came out decades ago. And, you don't have to do any of that stuff. I mean, you have to get them to agree to put that out with their names on it. Of course, yeah. Like I can't just go like, that book's done, I'll print one myself. You can't do that. You have to make sure that they give their okay on it, But I just didn't understand why there was like 3,000 of them.
Yeah, that never made any sense to me.
Yeah. And so, I voiced my concerns on that and said, hey, if you're selling it, for an inflated value on the aftermarket, donate that to charity. And I don't like the way that they made it a collector's item, an aftermarket or secondary market collector's item. I didn't like that. Boy, did I get roasted.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
I that's why when I very, very rarely find anything personal on social media.
Well, what was really,
because I took it all off. I'm like, I'm sick of this crap.
What was really interesting to me about that is, you did get roasted pretty hard for that opinion, and I hold the exact same opinion.
Yeah.
But you got roasted not because you said this was wrong and that money should be going here or there, or any of the solutions that you offered. The reason you got roasted is you came out and at that time made the biggest mistake you could make. In that bubble of a market. You said people that are flipping this book are idiots and they're screwing up the market. It's not worth it. And those are the people that got mad at you. The scalpers. They are the ones that got mad at you.
Yeah, absolutely.
For exposing they were afraid that somebody would hear that and be like, "Oh, Greg said it's not worth that."
Yeah.
And that's why you took so much heat on it.
And there were a couple of creators that went a little crazy on me too.
Yeah. Well, that's because many creators.
Yeah.
So, and they're in the same boat. I mean, especially newer creators, Clayton Crane, Donnie Cates, these kind of people, they want their stuff to go viral on the secondary market.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's good for them. That builds their brand.
Yep.
So, I mean, and it's kind of sad. And those are not the guys I'm talking about.
No, they had nothing to do.
They were just popular creators.
They were just,
I'm not ragging on those guys, but that's why the creators that came at you over that opinion, like it's not for respect out of Perez. It was because they want their stuff to go like that. So,
and I mean, I just, and I got told like, oh, you don't know what it's like to run a store. You don't know what it's like to be in the business. I'm like, what? I'm like, look, man, the only thing I said is I didn't think they did it right. I've met George Perez, spent not much time with him, but hung out a little bit while he did that really cool Spider-Man for me. Unbelievably nice, really cool, gracious person, and like nobody, we're talking about that Fantastic Four cover, with the 700 characters or whatever, man. Nobody can do that but George Perez.
Yeah.
And if they did do it, it's going to take a lot longer than what they did on that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, I mean, he was a one of a kind artist. He was an amazingly nice guy. And you know, I think the industry is worse off without him.
So this is kind of leading into an interesting segue about something that I want to talk about. So just before Perez had passed away, he set up a signing at CGC.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent my Wonder Woman in to get it signed, and he ended up not being able to do it, and they returned the books. Mm-hmm. Because of the Frank Miller thing that we were just talking about, I was watching, I can't remember who I was watching. I was watching one of the many YouTubers that made a very interesting point, and I wanted to run this by you. CGC, and as much as we rag on CGC for what they're doing, his opinion is CGC is no longer a supporting business for the comic hobby. And that's how they started out there. We will support comics by grading, by giving you a fair independent grade and encapsulating books and all this. They are now in the market of producing collectibles, manufacturing collectibles, mm-hmm. because they have all of these artists that once a month they'll go into the CGC offices, sit in the break room and sign thousands of books that immediately get graded and encapsulated. Yep. So now they're manufacturing these signed books.
You know what it reminds me of a lot? Is the old Home Shopping Network stuff that they did in the 90s. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And when they'd get Stan Lee in there and he'd be like, yeah, I created Spider-Man. And they'll be like, oh, well, this, you know, Spider-Man #1, you know, you can have Stan Lee sign it, or an X-Men #1, you can have Stan Lee sign it. And, you know, the creator of these characters and blah, 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 you know, and he'd do that. And they'd be like, you know, 1995 for a signed Stan Lee X-Men #1. And it was like literally boxes of X-Men #1 that Stan Lee had at the Marvel offices. And he's like, oh, these are so rare, you know. And then, you know, they had if I remember right, they had like a Home Shopping Network certificate of authenticity and, you know, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And they started doing that all the time. They had like Jim Lee on, they had Todd McFarlane on, they had like all these people on the Home Shopping Network, you know, hawking their comics that were $2 books until they were $20 books. Right. It's like literally 10 seconds or 3 seconds later. You know, and that is a lot of what this reminds me of.
I can see that for sure.
And, you know, but the other thing is, we can't fully blame CGC for that because the creators are going in and doing it.
Right.
And they're getting paid handsomely to do it.
And
the creators are going in.
And we're paying for it.
And we're buying on.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? It's a trifecta of whoops. You know, again, we allow it. And we keep allowing it.
But I do see, so they're manufacturing these signed books. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And manufacturing and a collectible that you can only get from CGC,
right?
And then you've got to compare that to other collectibles, your sideshow statues, mm-hmm. or limited edition Funko Pop.
Yeah,
I mean that's what it is. It's a collectible, yeah. And by creating them the way that they do. Like if you're looking at a sideshow statue or a limited edition Funko Pop, there's only so many of those that were produced.
Sure.
And they hold the integrity that there's only so many that are produced.
Yeah.
CGC doesn't have that restriction.
No.
Because they've done 2 signings with Todd McFarlane at this point. They've done the mail-in, what was it, King Spawn or whatever it is, where you signed certificate. So now they've expanded that to an on-demand collectibles that they're creating. Yeah. So there's really no limit to the number of these collectibles that they're producing. So what in the world makes a CGC Signature Series book, which they can produce a new one next week if they feel like it. What makes that any more valuable than a book on the shelf?
Yeah.
Like there's no value in it whatsoever at this point.
I mean, you know, and I've got so many. Who's that? Yay! Hi,
Tommy.
What's up? Oh, that was cute. Oh my god, we finish each other's sandwiches. Anyway,
I love a good sandwich.
That was I love that it was for phone the Mario the coin thing. I need to reprogram my credit card machine so every time somebody pays, it goes. That'd be great, wouldn't it? Anyway, sorry. That's a little off the subject.
A little bit.
Yeah, which I'm usually so focused, laser focused on the subject. No, I agree with you, you know, and way back before, you know, you would have I almost don't feel it's special anymore to get a signature or you know, like a backboard sketch or something like that, you know, and if you have to pay for it.
Right.
Like a quick sketch. Okay. You know, a commission, like a full page commission, or, you know, hey man, you know what? I'm going to, you know, do this. And, yeah, the one that George President, like I said, it was like $20. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, well, yeah, of course. Right. Not a signature, but a sketch.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, oh, well, man. And his prices probably went up after the retailer hours,
sure.
you know,
Sure.
But, you know, and the situation is, I remember I used to love to go to cons, and, you know, and meet these guys and talk to them, these creators. Stephanie Hans did a really cool Deadpool blank cover for me, you know, and she was so nice, and she was just, you know, and she apologized because it wasn't as good as she thought it should have been. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You know?
She's pretty talented.
And I miss those days,
right?
You know, and when you would go get a quick sketch, you just go get us, you know, some signatures and things like that, and you don't have to pay $50 for a quick head sketch, or you don't have to pay $20 for a signature, or 30 or 40 or 50 or 100 or 300 in Frank Miller's case. He charges $300 for a signature at cons.
Yeah.
You know, and I miss those days, man, you know, because that's something that's really cool. That's a personal thing. You know, like I asked somebody for this and they gave that to me. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. You know, but now it's like, if I pay somebody $50 to sign their name, I may as well buy it on eBay, because I feel like I'm in an assembly line. There's nothing personal about it. You know what I mean? And I mean, I'll just say, well, screw it, man. I'll buy one for $40 from Dynamic Forces.
Well, and that's why my personal collection, that's why I have the autographs of my collection made out to me. Like, they're all,
and I love that, man.
For that reason.
And I love that,
because I can get a Todd McFarlane signed book. I can go online right now and order 10 of them.
Yeah.
And
what does that mean?
Yeah.
It means you have a credit card. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's tough. It's Tom saying, you CGC or something in Europe. No sense in sending comics from here to the USA and pray that FedEx won't lose. So yeah, well, FedEx, yeah, boy.
There is somebody in Europe that grades books. I can't remember, and they're owned by CGC. I think it's the European branch of.
Well, why wouldn't they just call it CGC?
I don't know. I think they bought it, and it was under a different name already, and I can't remember off the top of my head what the name of that place was.
Well, make it fancy. CGC Europe.
Euro.
Yeah. Euro. Yeah.
Euro GC.
Euro GC.
But yeah, so in my opinion, and we're not talking about the books like this. Like there's only so many of this book printed. There's only so many in that grade. That's different. But when they can, in effect, call up any artist and no artist is going to turn them down.
No, they make too much.
Yeah. And that was the point that was being made in the video I was watching, was if they come to me and they say, you know, we want this comic book that you wrote, we want your signature on it, and we're going to pay you $40 for, man, I'll get myself some carpal tunnel.
Oh my God, yeah.
$40 a shot. I'll be doing that. And I'm not Frank Miller. He's got a hell of a lot more.
I'll cosplay as
So-
Iron Fist, man. I will wrap these wrists, make sure everything's good.
Yeah,
man, you know.
it's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, so I thought that was a very interesting take on the CGC thing, and I really don't think, and in my opinion, now signatures on books are worthless. A signature series book is worthless.
Yeah, and it's,
maybe your
you know,
Daredevil one that had Stanley's signature,
right?
Because that's not
you
going to
know,
happen.
that
again.
ain't going to happen then, and that's
So
a Daredevil one, right?
We're now at a finite number of those.
Yeah. Now the one, the Stanley, one of the Stanley signatures that I have that I absolutely love is the Ultimate Hawkeye one, and you know they did, I think 100 of those is all, and they were polybagged, so they're blind bagged. You know, and I was like, oh man, I want to check their Ultimate Hawkeye. Did I say Daredevil?
I don't
know.
Okay.
Yeah. Hawkeye, okay. Yeah, and so, you know, they did like 100 of them. They were blind bagged. And, you know, if it's something that's bagged, I always grab 2 of them because I like to unbag it, you know, appreciate the cover, and then, you know, put the bagged one on the flip side and say, okay, cool, right? So I opened that up and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. I can't believe I got this. And it was signed by Stan Lee. Uh-oh.
Pokemon.
Oh, no. So, you know, I looked at it. It was signed by Stan Lee. I turned it around, and the back cover is the certificate of authenticity. And it's really cool.
That's cool.
Man, you know, it is super, super cool. And I was like, oh, my God. Okay, now that is special.
Yeah.
You know, that's a special one. I do have an X-Men one that's not uncanny, but the 90s one, you know, that came in here years ago. It was signed by Stan Lee and his son, Jim. Or his mother, Jim, or I don't know, whatever. And, you know, I mean, that was, you know, it was cool. I'm like, oh, no, okay. You know, but that came in back when, you know, again, you bumped into Stan Lee on the street and he's like, would you like me to sign something? You know, it's like, all I have is a box of cookies. I'm just going home. That's okay. I like cookies. You know, he'd sign, yeah, he didn't care, man. He'd sign anything.
So, okay. So, because we're getting a little bit shorter on time here, there is one thing I wanted to check out. So I've got 3 slabs here.
Mm-hmm.
CGC, which this is the newer CGC slab, because they used to be thicker than this.
Yeah.
And one thing that I've noticed a lot, people sending in books to get repressed, is because of the size of these slabs, if it's more than 24 pages,
Mm-hmm.
you end up with a lot of bends and dings and stuff after they've been graded. So basically they're grading them and they put your 9.8 in and they damage it.
And then they damage it.
Yeah.
You know.
While they're putting it in, it still has a 9.8, but it's no longer 9.8.
Right.
And then you've got this Star Wars, we got Invasion Revelations #1 from CBCS, which I like CBCS slabs. They just feel heftier to me, but I just got this in. So this is the Rogue Trader exclusive, Rogue Trader Black Cat Comics exclusive, Herald's Journey #1 by Derek Draper. And this was graded by EGS Comics.
That's nice.
But yeah, pick it up, fill it.
Yeah.
Like that's.
Oh man, that's a slab.
Yeah, that's. I told him I was going to
Wow.
do kind of a review on it, but there's a lot of things, and I'm going to be completely honest. I just wanted you to get an unbiased opinion from you.
Oh,
Give you a chance to look at it, and maybe compare.
this is hefty.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's protected.
Yeah, so I haven't done the tests on the. On
This
the
is
plastic.
so light.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it is so light.
Yeah.
Now, okay, here's the other thing that I noticed. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't hear anything. Don't hear anything.
Yeah.
You can hear that.
Yeah, creaking.
Like,
and
yeah.
moaning.
That's a cheap ass cover. Actually, man, boy, you can. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, the
Wow.
thickness.
Uh huh.
and the well is thicker as well.
Man.
So it'll hold a much more substantial book.
Yeah, this is actually really nice. Yeah,
I like the full color labels.
Yeah,
and there's plenty of options for color options for your labels. This one is a signature series book. I had Derek sign it for me.
Huh. Wow, this feels significant.
Yeah. And one thing I really like. Okay, I'm want to do the pros and cons.
Oh,
actually,
wait a minute. Let me see something else here too, man. Like that's like up there. It like kind of warps the writing there.
Yeah.
Boy, these gotten cheap as hell, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, man. Okay. All right. Anyway,
the thickness of the slab, I really like that because they can fit bigger books in there for sure. Jesse's asking the pricing difference between the 3 different grading companies. CGC sitting right at 20 for modern tier, 28, I think. CBCS is 26 and EGS is 26 as well.
Yeah. And then with CGC, you have to factor in the shipping.
Well, with all of them, you have to pay shipping,
right?
And everything as well.
CGC will figure out what your shipping is.
Yes,
which I don't like.
That's a drawback that I have with CGC is they'll tell you it's $28, but it's really whatever they decide.
Yeah,
because if they get it in their office and they decide, oh, that's not a $200 book, that's a $5,000 book, and 10% of that is, I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the labels on these guys. Let's see if we can get a good shot of the label there. I like their labels. I went with the green and black because it's a black and white book. But they have different colors. They have a Batman one that's really cool. It has bats on it.
So you could get like a red for this one. Dust this.
Yeah. I think that's
like you get a red for that. You can get a black and red or something. That's really neat. I like that.
And before I tell you what I think is the coolest thing about an EGS slab, a couple of the drawbacks, in my opinion, I think he needs a laser printer. I don't know. The printing lines in this are a little off-putting to me.
Yeah,
it's a little weird.
Black Cat Comics certified. There you go.
Yeah. It's Black Cat and the Rogue Trader exclusive variant.
So if we did a Black Cat Comics certified guarantee company, that would be BCCCGC. Yeah, you know me. Yeah,
but there's that, and then Tony, the owner of EGS, is the grader for their service, and I've never had a problem with his grading. He gave this one a 9.6. I probably would have given it a 9.4, but he does a pretty good job. But he's the only one grading, and I think that if you're going to do grading, you need some checks and balances. One set of eyes. But one thing that I really, really like, included with your grading, you get this certificate of authenticity.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
So it's not a certificate saying that the signature is authentic. I know it's authentic because Derek signed it right in front of me, and he's a great guy, local Utah comic creator. But it certifies the grade. So he sends this out with every single book that he grades, and it has the title of the book and the date.
So that's in the bag, not in the case, right?
Yes, it's in the bag.
Oh, okay. In the case. All right.
And then it says...
Then I'm good with that.
Then right down here, every single book gets grader notes. Slight scuff on the top and bottom left corner of the front cover. Light spine stress, front and back cover.
Wow.
So you don't even have to go to a website, look anything up. You just get grader notes with every single book.
Yeah.
That is a brilliant idea.
Somebody came in asking about that giant size X-Men that I have up there. And they're like, I just came in to get the number so I could look at the grader notes. And I'm like, Well, what's wrong with putting it here?
Yeah.
You know, you don't need all this crap. This is the same stuff that's like, it's the same stuff that's on your website.
Right.
Why don't you put stuff specific to the book on here, man? Or you know what? Under here.
But you know why?
If you need to do all legal crap here.
But the reason why is because in order to get grader notes, you have to sign up for the service.
Which means you have to pay.
You have to pay to get grader notes.
That's crappy.
Put them behind a table.
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, right here they should say, you know, venom appearance, you know, 2 slight spine ticks, small rub on back cover, you know, something like that. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, I really think that. I mean, free grader notes with everything is a huge win in my opinion.
Yeah,
I really like the slabs. And Tony's just a great guy. He's.
Now, I've never met Tony, and you kind of sprung this on me. I've never seen one of his graded books, so I'm not getting paid for this. Oh, I'm not getting paid for anything.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm not.
Yeah, and I do. He's really cool because to talk to him, he's East Coast. It's like you're talking to a New Jersey mobster.
Of course, he's East Coast. His name's Tony. Come on.
He's awesome. He's an awesome guy.
It's got a couple of scuffs on the bada boom. Yeah, why does it say that? Got a ding ding and a bada boom and a hey hey. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty good. It's not bad. Not a bad book.
One other thing that I like about this is if you go to the EGS website, they're very transparent. He tells you exactly where he gets his information and how he grades the book, and he goes like right out of the Overstreet comic book grading guide.
I like that.
So
I like that.
Yeah,
because I don't know how I can never figure out how CGC grades.
Yeah. Well, they're not transparent. You don't have.
They won't tell you.
You don't have any clue.
Yeah.
You don't know how their people are trained.
You don't know how many people there are. You don't know how many different people are looking at different books in the same shipment.
Right.
You know, you don't know any of this, man. Now, you know, I like the holographic sticker that CGC has. You know, that's really nice. And he's got one on there too, though.
Yeah, and his that's a signature series. And that's what it says, but his other stickers say different things.
Yeah. No, that's okay. Yeah, that's nice.
I think that label design, he's smack dab in the middle.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, CGC has the best label design. CBCS has the worst. And
I mean, you know, this, God, I hate to say it, man, but I like, I like CBCS's grades more.
I think they're more fair.
I think they're more fair. I think they're better grading. But that is an ugly ass label.
I don't. And I know
that looks like an art project, man.
I know of at least 20 of us that have had conversations with the owners, and they're like, "No, that's you're buying the book, not the label." I go, fair enough.
And, that's true. You know, and it's true. It's fair. You know, it's like I say with the, with the scuffed case or something like that. Who gives a shit, man? I mean, you know, who cares? There's a tiny little crack on the back. Who cares, man? You're buying the book, but that's an ugly ass label. I can't. It's very plain,
and that's what I really like about EGS. You can color code.
Yeah, that's cool.
All those, and it is very cool. And there's a new product that's coming out. I don't want to give too much away, but I saw this.
Give, please.
New product, and it's a slab, but it doesn't have this. That's not there.
Oh, okay.
There's a chip in it, and you scan it, and it just brings up your app and gives you all information about the book. Wow. So there's no label at all, but it's still sealed within a slab.
That's kind of weird.
It's different. I don't think it'll take off. I think people want the label.
I think people want the label,
but we'll see. I mean, they're great slabs.
Yeah,
and there's a few other products out there that are really cool. Comic Skin has a nice one. Gator Guard has a really nice
and I just
protector.
I think I I don't know. CGC would probably lose their damn minds and sue whoever it is. But if you could just get cases similar to this, that you can open and close.
Well, that's Comic Skin. That's what Comic Skin are, resealable slabs, and that's what EGS used to use. But he got away from that because he would put a tamper-proof sticker on it, so you knew if it was open. But that wasn't good enough for people.
Okay.
Like they said, you have to get it permanently locked down. So he went with those.
Yeah, I mean, did they look like this, or are they like the wider ones?
They're a bit thinner. They feel very similar to a CGC slab, but the plastics that Comic Skin uses are completely. They're like 99.9% UV and IR protective.
Which
have
is better
the proper
than that.
breathing. Yeah, they're hands down. I haven't tested the new EGS slab yet, but hands down, with everybody else, Comic Skins are the best. And I like them because I get to make my own labels, and I can open them up and change them out if I want.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I like that idea.
Just put Patsy Walker on every label.
Well, Tommy said, what is label needs work? CGC art options are too limited for Marvel books. And I think that some of these other guys need to look into that. I think, I mean, I've talked to Tony. I'm like, go talk to Scout. Go talk to Ahoy. Talk to these guys. And, like, you may not be able to take Marvel business away from CGC, but you can certainly get indie business away from anybody.
Oh, yeah.
If you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
And if you get something that's killing the children label,
well, there you go.
Everybody would come to you to get that slabbed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
But just know there's options out there. EGS does a good job. I'm really impressed with it. I'm glad. I got another submission that I'm sending in with our Bleak Haven exclusives. I want to get those done. And then I have a new exclusive about to drop with the Bleak Haven guys for their new book.
Cool.
So
yeah, you got it signed by me and Bella, right?
Yes, I did.
A signature series on there.
Signature series.
There you go, man.
I'm actually a signature witness for EGS.
Cool.
So, I mean, I can offer that service to anybody that wants their EGS books signature verified.
Right on. So come get your plush signed.
Yeah.
On June 10th.
He's going to be here June 10th?
Uh-huh.
Right on.
Your plushes and plastics and all the other happy, disgusting materials that he writes about. Or get your Nightcrawlers 3 signed, but Phil Seavey's going to be here too.
Nice.
Yeah, Nightcrawlers 3 or your Tomb Raiders, Transference. That was like the first. I think that was like the first exclusive cover he ever did was for Transference for us when Mike Marisi was here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, you can get all that stuff done too. Yay!
Right on. Okay, so just some cool stuff for you guys. Other options out there.
I tried to be more positive.
I think we were pretty positive.
Yeah, we were pretty okay. Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah. Frank Miller.
Frank. He's making money. 66 years old, making money.
He's only 66.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't believe it either. I looked it up earlier. Yeah, 66.
I'm not going to look like that in 14 years, am I?
Hopefully not.
I guess if I keep this shop, I might.
All right. So remember, tune in every Wednesday where we come to you again from Black Hat Comics, and we go down the wall and show you all the new books that came out during the week. We do that Wednesdays at 10:30 Mountain Time, and then every Thursday at 3:30 we come to you right here, ramble on for an hour, about comic books and
or
comic book related stuff. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and ring the bell. to be notified whenever a new video drops.
You can ring the bell. It'll be cool as hell if you get a little.
All right. See you later, traders.
Yeah. And the